Hey guys, welcome to our team call tonight. My name is Brigitte Linford, and I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to introduce our special guest speaker for tonight. Typically, we have other coaches in the network who get on, or I will get on. We'll have another leader on the team and talk about, from our perspective as coaches, here's what is working for me, here's something I've learned recently, or someone will come on and share their story. So this call is going to be a little bit different because I asked my life coach to get on and do a call. So Nicole Orlacher is someone that I met, actually was looking at our Facebook message thread, and I met her back in 2016. I think for a hot second, meaning a few weeks, we were in the same church family, and her family moved out. And I remember my husband helping them move, and he's like, they're so cool. I'm sure we would have, it's too bad we didn't get to know them before they moved. And we connected on Facebook, and excuse me, luckily, thankful for social media, right? We were able to stay connected, and it's been really cool to see her become this life coach and get certified through the Brooke Castillo Life Coach School. So if you guys have been on the team page for any short amount of time, you probably heard me talk about Brooke Castillo because it's my all-time favorite podcast. I feel like it's free therapy to listen to her podcast, and that is who Nicole did her certification through. So Nicole is a wife and a mom. She has a really powerful story of growing up. If I hopefully I get this correct, and she can correct me on this, but her dad passed away. Her biological father passed away, and her mom chose to put her and her sister into the foster care system when she was 7. So she grew up in the foster care system for a good amount of time until she was adopted I think when she was 14. So she can correct me on that. So I think, that comes with a lot of emotional, experiences for you to work through, and it's cool to see how she's done that and has just come out stronger than ever and is able to help people like me. So I've been working with her for about 2 months, and she's really helped me a lot, so I thought that it would be helpful for you guys as well. So Nicole, let me unmute you and let you take it from here. All right,
there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
The intro part of it, correct. Was that pretty close?
You're pretty close.
You can fill in the gaps or correct me on any of that, but I'll just let you take it from here.
Great. So yeah, I did meet Brigitte several years ago. My story is just, there's a lot of sad stuff in it, but honestly, I think the coolest part about life coaching is coming to a place where you realize that all the things that have happened in your life, all the really hard things especially, they're just these gifts that you get to have that make you into who you are, and they allow you to grow and to learn, and then you get to share that with everybody else. So it's a perspective that has shaped the way that I live my life, and I am so grateful that I have been through all that crap and all that drama, and for the stuff that's still going on, because it makes my life what it is. So I'm grateful. It's amazing. I also love being a life coach. Brigitte is like a dream client because she always does what I tell her to. So the one thing that I know Brigitte really wanted me to talk about today is something that I know that we all probably do, which is showing up on social media. And especially if you're a coach, you're trying to get people to come to you, you're trying to sign people, you're trying to get them to sign up to work with you. And it can feel like a little bit of a rat race, or like you're just on this circle, this wheel where you're trying to go somewhere and you just feel like you're getting nowhere. And so social media is kind of that big scary elephant in the room. We want to be on it when we're feeling really good, but when we're not, we kind of feel like chucking our phone out the window, right? And more often than not, we're getting really frustrated with social media. So we've heard people talk about making our time intentional on social media. And it sounds really nice, but how do you really do that? And what does that look like? So I just want to encourage you to decide what you want social media to look like for you. What does your day like? What do your people look like? How do people feel when they come there. What do you want to feel when you are on social media, and what emotions would serve you? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Um, Something that I share, I know Brigida has introduced this idea to you guys about how important our thoughts are. And I used to think it was a little bit kind of hocus pocusy, like, oh yeah, all I have to do is kind of like think my way to like a good place, right? And then it'll all just like magically appear, right? But I had something happen today that was a perfect analogy for this. About 1 o'clock, I was trying to be on social media and my eye was just bugging me really, really bad. And I just felt like there was something in my eye. And I spent the next hour taking off all my makeup, running water through my eye, trying to get eye drops. It took me like an hour to get whatever this thing was. I don't even know what it was, to get it out of my eye. And it was just this teeny, teeny, tiny little thing was making this huge difference in how I was feeling. And I think our thoughts are a lot like that, because when they're good, we don't even notice that they're there. But when they're negative, even if they're just really little, they end up affecting every other part. And so the biggest takeaway that you can get, if you're going to get anything from this call, remember that your thoughts are all optional, that your brain is always going to be thinking, it's always going to be offering you thoughts, and that's its job. It's supposed to be firing subconsciously. It's supposed to be doing things automatically, but its automatic responses are not usually what you want to use. And so we go through our lives from the very beginning, just trusting that whatever comes up in our brain is the truth, that that's just what our life is, and that that's what we're supposed to believe. And we kind of think our brain's job is to tell us the truth. But the biggest realization you can come to, and that will set you free, is that your brain is actually designed just to keep you alive. So it'll actually lie to you if it needs to. In fact, it doesn't really know what the truth is. It just kind of decides what the truth is. And it will most often use fear to get you to hang back and stay safe and not talk to people. And so your brain affects all the parts of your life. And the survival brain is always affecting how we're showing up on social media, which is why we have such a hard time with it, because we're worried about what other people are going to think. And your brain only cares about that because it's worried that if other people don't like you, then you're not going to be accepted, which means that you're going to be kicked out of like your friend group or your family. Like your brain's not real logical. It's just worried about ruining relationships because it thinks that that's crucial to your survival. So our brains haven't quite evolved, but luckily you don't only have that brain. You also have like this higher part of you, like who you really are, like that essence of your soul. And that's the part of you where most of the time those two are kind of fighting and we don't realize it. But once you do, you're in a really powerful position. Once you realize I've got a brain over here telling me like, I can't do this and this is really scary and everybody else is doing a better job than I am. And then I've still got kind of this nudge that feels really true and feels like really who I am. And it's telling me, but maybe you can. Maybe there's something that people want to hear from you. Maybe there's some way that you could influence them. And so without really realizing it, there's these two parts of us that are always fighting. So got a little bit off track, but a few thoughts that might be coming up for you when you're on social media might be something like, I feel like people are just here to steal my stuff. I know that that comes up with a lot of other people that I talk to, and they worry about putting things out there because literally people will take word for word like your pictures or your captions or your stories, and they'll try to put it into their own because they realize you're being successful. But when you believe the thought that you feel like people are here on social media just to take your things, you feel angry. And then the thing about thoughts is they create emotion. And emotions is what drive our actions. So the way that you're showing up on social media is directly influenced by the way that you're feeling. And if you're letting the subconscious brain drive, it's going to be giving you thoughts that are going to be creating anger and fear and confusion and frustration. And anytime you're trying to build a business from that place, it's not really going to go where you want it to go. You're going to attract people that are just trolls. You're not going to be talking to the right people. And so it's not going to lead you where you want to go. So when you notice your brain offering you something like people are just here to steal my stuff, and they don't care what I'm saying, they don't care what I'm doing, you're focused on what you don't want. And that's always what ends up coming back to you. So this is more at the end of my presentation, but it actually works really well for this section. So there's this analogy that I like to use with those who are using social media to build their businesses, because I know it can get really frustrating when we have a lot of followers and it seems like we're only hearing from the people who don't really care or they have something to say, like they're being really critical. I want you to just picture that you are like this rock star and all of your followers, that like follower count, those are the people that have purchased tickets to come to your concert. And so just picture all of your followers, they're like out there in the crowd. We don't even know, we can't even really picture like how many people are out there or what exactly they look like, but it's a good amount of people, right? Like most people have like hundreds to thousands of followers. And if they're out in the crowd, and they're represented by the actual people that are following you, you can only be talking to one person at a time, right? Or one type of people at a time. So if your thoughts are the things that are driving your actions and what you're saying to them, if you're constantly focused on the people that are there at your concert that don't like you and that are booing you and that aren't really paying attention, I want you to think about what's happening with the other people who are actually there who really love you. Even if you had 1,000 followers and 999 of them like did not want you to be on stage, they didn't hear what you were saying, maybe they weren't paying attention, maybe they were saying stupid things to you, and there's one person there who's like, I'm actually really interested in this concert, like I would like to hear like their song, like please just get up and sing it, and you're talking to the 999 that actually don't want you there, the one person is not going to want to be there anymore, right? So if you just think of your social media like in that way, like forget about the people who don't care or who are not saying anything or who are saying terrible things. And remember that for sure, like the next person who's going to join your program or come under you or be your next leader, like they're waiting for you to say like what you're up there to say, like your song, like your art, your very unique story and like this gift that you have, right? Like they're waiting for you to do that. It doesn't matter what everybody else is thinking, like talking to them is not going to help you, right? So remember to talk to the people who are there for you, because for sure they are. And when you have that in your head, then you're feeling a lot more confident, a lot calmer, a lot more peaceful, and that's going to come out in the way that you do things. So um, let's see. The next thing I really wanted to talk about. So I have just a few thoughts that I want to offer to you to put in place of what your brain might already be telling you when it comes to this kind of concert analogy, or just people who are there on your Instagram or on your Facebook, wherever your social media marketing. And just what I do with thoughts with my clients is I say, okay, just try it on, kind of like you're going to try on clothes, like see how it fits, see if your brain like kind of believes it, and then see how it feels when you're actually thinking this thought, and decide that even if you don't believe it, just decide that just for 2 minutes, I'm going to pretend that I'm the kind of person that actually believes this, and I'm going to experiment, and I'm going to see like how this actually feels if I believe it. Because you'll start to realize you actually get to tell your brain whatever you want to tell it. You get to tell it that you're amazing, and you get to tell it that you have people who are listening and waiting for you. And when you tell it that, your subconscious brain gets thrown into the back seat, and then like who you are, like the soul part of you, the really passionate, wonderful, powerful part of you gets into the driver's seat, and that's where you go where you want to go. So some of these thoughts that are really helpful that you could kind of tweak if you wanted to. People love it when I show up on Instagram. People love it. People are excited to see what I have for them today. I love my followers and they love me. My followers trust me and I give them more than what they came for. My followers can picture themselves working with me. Now, on that note, I know this is probably a lot, but luckily it's recorded. Instead of thinking what actions are going to serve me today, I want you to think what feelings are going to serve me today. And when you feel those feelings, the actions will just follow. So instead of having to watch all these YouTube videos and like ask your upline, well, like, what do I do? I just don't know what to do. Ask yourself, like, how do I need to feel? Like, what would be a useful feeling? And one of the feelings that's actually really useful when you get on social media is feeling unattached. When you're unattached to what your followers are doing or how they respond, then you put yourself in a place where you can actually just serve them, because people don't come to your Instagram or your Facebook so that they can buy from you. They literally don't. They do not go searching for you so that they can buy stuff from you or like sign up under you. They come because they want to be inspired. They come because they want to feel loved. They come because they want to feel like they're part of something. They come because they want to feel understood, right? So you give that to them. Give them the gift of just being there and being willing to serve, whether or not they sign up with you, because sooner or later, like that's always going to come back to you. Whatever you're putting out in service and value, like you're creating money in that moment because you're creating value, and it's always going to end up coming back to you in one way or another. So just decide, I'm here. It doesn't matter who's here also. It doesn't matter what they do or what they say or if they respond or how many people view my story. I'm just here to serve. So the feeling of unattached, it actually feels really peaceful. And when you're in that place, I feel like you're able to really show up as who you are, and you're not so worried about what other people are thinking about you. Worrying about what other people are thinking about you gets you like really frozen, and you end up really rigid, and that's how you end up coming off, because people can read that. So another feeling that I love is inspired. When you're feeling inspired, you inspire other people. And a thought that helps you feel inspired is something like, this is amazing. I can put something out there and thousands of people or hundreds of people or even just 5 people will see it. Sometimes if you're going through your analytics and you're getting really frustrated because there's not a lot of people there, maybe there's 5 or there's 50 or there's like 500, and it's like less than what you wanted, then those people become a number and you get really frustrated. But if you imagine yourself like actually being in a room and literally 500 people or 50 people or just 5 people were there listening to you, like they're listening to you. Isn't that amazing? Can you imagine just like being there and talking to them and they're listening the entire time? Like sometimes you'll get to the end of your stories, and I know I do this all the time. I swipe up to see how many people have watched it. And if just like imagine just a couple of people have watched all of them, like that's a miracle. That's amazing. Like you gave them something that they actually wanted to watch. You gave them something valuable. Like just 2 people, like that's really cool. And so think of them as actual people instead of thinking of them as numbers. And when you think about connection rather than upping your numbers, then you'll get to a place where service comes first and people will actually end up coming to you. All the right people will come to you. So I love the feeling of inspired. All right. Sometimes I know we get in our heads. What does getting in your head look like when you're on social media? You guys ever do this? You like get on social media, you kind of freeze up, like, okay, like so-and-so's doing this, somebody else is doing this, like I should be doing a lot better. I should do more reels. I should do like a lot more content. I should like try to do what she's doing, but just word it in a different way. We get in our heads about what will work. So what does it mean to actually get in your head? It just means that you're listening to your primitive brain. All the fearful thoughts that it's offering you, you're just listening to it. It's your brain's job to feed you fearful thoughts, which means that every time that you feel fear, question it, because it's probably not true. There's probably nothing to be afraid of. So your brain is always thinking, your lower brain or your subconscious brain, it does most of the thinking automatically, like we talked about, because that's what it's there for. It does a great job. It likes to be efficient, and it's just designed to process things quickly. And it's wired for survival, which means that it uses negative emotions, usually fear, to get you to not do hard and scary things. And usually those things are talking to other people or being vulnerable and putting yourself out there, letting people see you dance in your living room or doing a reel or being in your workout clothes, like all those scary, vulnerable things, like your brain for sure does not want you to do. So it will tell you whatever it needs to get you to stop. It'll tell you like, oh, people don't actually want to see this, or it'll tell you, we'll do this later, don't worry about it right now, or it's better if you post this like after people are already in bed. Like whatever it has to tell you to get you to stop, it will tell you that. So don't believe it. Your brain's really good at coming up with very personalized excuses because it's your brain. It's like been with you for a long time, right? Since the beginning. So what is easiest for your brain is to think the thoughts that you've always thought. So if you get on social media and you're always thinking, what is so-and-so doing? What is so-and-so doing? That's going to be your brain's habit. And then you just have this habit when you get on social media. So even though your brain is always offering you thoughts, and most of the time we accept them automatically because we think those thoughts are our own, but they're the truth. What if our brain was just offering things that it thinks will get you to not move forward? What if they're not the truth, but what if they're actually the opposite of the truth? The best way to figure this out for yourself is to ask, what is my brain telling me right now? What does it think is true about me, about my followers, about posting, about social media in general? So your brain's never going to offer you positive feedback. Your brain will only offer you fearful thoughts. One of those thoughts is, I feel like I'm bothering people. It's so funny that we think that, right? These people who have decided to click the follow button on your profile, we're like, oh, I don't want to bother them. Like, I don't want to feel salesy on my page that they opted into, that they totally don't have to watch, right? Like, they're actually there because they want you to make offers. So this is just one thought that will wreak a lot of havoc on your business. Because here's what you have to remember. They decided to follow you. They push the button. They want to be at your concert. They want to be listening to you, and they want what you have to offer. So if you're annoying, they'll unfollow you. If you're getting a lot of unfollows and not any follows, you've probably been stuck in this mind loop of worrying about what they're thinking and thinking that you're probably bothering people. People want you to be creative. They want you to share your story. They want you to be yourself. They want you to be a little bit crazy if you're crazy. They want you to be calm if you're calm. They want you, and nobody can be you like you can. So you might as well just be yourself. But when you're believing that this is a problem and that you feel like you're bothering people, when that thought comes up in your head, like, oh, I don't know if I should post this, like people might not like it. Think about how that's making you feel. Usually it's creating a feeling in your body of self-doubt or despair if we've thought it a lot over and over, or maybe uselessness or fear or just smallness. And if you ask yourself, how do I show up when I feel that way? Well, you usually don't. You don't show up, or you show up really small, or you show up as kind of like copying people, or you just kind of like do the bare minimum of like, oh, my coach said that I should do this, and so I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to get off. I don't even want to think about it anymore. And when you show up like that, people are not inspired and they're not motivated because you're not inspired and you're not motivated. You're sitting in fear, right? Let's see. So here are some thoughts that you can decide to think instead. These are really helpful. I used to think the word affirmations was really hokey, but your brain's thinking anyway. Your brain's always offering you thoughts. So you might as well decide what thoughts to put in there because those thoughts are always producing things. So if you could decide to think something else and it's going to produce a different result, like why wouldn't you do that? So some of these thoughts that you can choose to believe are: people need me. Showing up serves my people. Somebody is waiting for me to share my story. They are inspired by me working out every day. They're inspired by how I'm doing it. Somebody wants to see me being consistent because they will know that they can trust me. What I'm learning right now might be exactly what somebody needs to hear today. People genuinely like it when I show up. I'm entertaining or I'm inspiring, and me being there helps them get one step closer to maybe signing up with you, or one step closer to just believing that they could do something hard, right? Like every single action that you're taking is having some kind of effect on somebody. We can't just treat people like robots and just say like the only result that matters is if they sign up under me. Like the results that matter are the things that we can't even quantify. We don't know what's going on in their heads. We don't know how this is touching their hearts. But when you get over your crap, you're able to get out there and actually serve them in the way that they need to be served, right? Like that is why you're here. That's why you decided to be a coach. That's why you're even on this call, is because it's not about you anymore, right? It's about showing up and sharing like these epiphanies that you've had, like the self-love that you've discovered with somebody else. Like just picturing them out there going from like having a really terrible day into just like a little bit of a better mood where they realize like, oh, she's just like me, or she was just like me and she did something hard. Like maybe I can too. Like sometimes all they need is just a little bit of inspiration. If you get to the end of your life and you've literally made $0, but you have affected people in this way that makes them feel better, like, aren't you really rich? Like, isn't that what we want, is like to have this impact? The crazy thing is you can't actually have impact without making a big income. When you get people what they want, naturally the income just flows in, right? And especially in your situation where it's completely connected, like that's all you have to do. Give people what they want, which is to feel amazing, and they want to feel inspired and encouraged and connected, and you make money, right? Super easy. Um, oh, I love this thought. I don't know if I shared it. It serves people for me to make an offer to them. If you're like wondering how often you should make an offer to people, you're kind of missing the point, because we always get on thinking like, oh, I'm going to make an offer to them, like sign up for this group or like come join me on my team because I want people. If you're thinking about it like that, you're going to come off like really graspy. But if you make an offer from the thought, from the belief that they want this and they need this, and I'm making an offer for them, you're going to show up in a way that they're like, oh my gosh, like I need this, right? And you're like, yes, you totally do. Like, I want to give this to you. And it feels so good to come from that place rather than like, gimme, 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 just like, give me all the clients, right? When you just decide like, no, this offer serves them, it serves them to tell them how I can help them, then it's a win-win for everybody, right? It feels so good. Believe that you're not annoying them, but that you're offering them exactly what they're looking for, and that they've been waiting for you to make an offer. Some people are literally just waiting for you to make an offer. Some people are like, they've heard you talk about it for like 2 years, and something is finally like, hey, I want to get in shape. Oh, I know exactly where to go. And they're waiting for you to say something. They're waiting for you to say like, join me for this holiday food challenge because you'll feel so much better. Like somebody's waiting for you to make an offer right now. That's the only thing that keeps us from making offers, is when we think that there's nobody on the other side waiting for us. But what if you always believe that there was somebody on the other side who actually needs you to show up and offer them something today? We'd be making offers all the time, and it wouldn't be graspy, and it'd be fine if nobody showed up, right? But you'd know like, I have this for you, and they'd know, oh, she's there for me. There's something that I can get from her. And then knowing I'm giving them exactly what they came for. Some people are not coming because they want to join your group. Some people are not coming because they want to be a leader on your team. Some people are coming because they're just curious. Some people just want a community. Some people just want you to respond to their comment. They just want to be seen and heard. Like if you respond to people as if they're actual real life humans, just like you, with emotions just like you're going to get so much further. That's not, we know it's not just about money, right? That's why you're in this specific business. Like this is about actually loving people. And when we get down to it, like there's no losing when you just choose to love people and decide like whatever they came for, I'm going to give it to them. And I'm not going to assume that they're here for anything other than what they're here for. And as if they leave, I'm like, great, they got exactly what they came for. And this feels so good because I served them. All people are going to be there for something different. So I want to talk about competition and how you guys might be feeling about other coaches that are either on your team or on different teams or higher or lower than you. This is just a natural thing that happens, especially when we get on social media. Our brain goes into comparison mode. Your brain's always looking for something that's a threat, okay? It doesn't mean they are actual threats. It just means that your brain is hyper aware of things that might be hurting you. So competition is just a confidence killer. Excuse me. So when you get on Instagram and instead of sharing what you love, you're just kind of like scrolling through and like looking at all the other coaches that are doing it better than you, and they like have so many more followers and they have people connecting and they just look so happy in their pictures. Like your brain is just, you know how you show up when you do that, right? Like you're not showing up for your people. You're just like stuck in what you think is the truth, which is like everybody else is doing this better than me and this is so hard and I don't know what I'm doing, right? So I wanted to give you some really specific examples because this is what I do in coaching. We break it down like very, very small, like the big castle is made of Legos and we're going to take one Lego and we're going to look at it, and you'll realize that these thoughts are just everywhere. So one of these thoughts that might happen when we're scrolling through Instagram, if you see somebody who's like posting workout videos or whatever, you might think, oh, she's so pretty all the time. Does she even sweat? Who would follow me when they could follow her? We've all probably had these thoughts about people on Instagram. It's just like, it's the place for pretty people. It's the place for makeup. It's the place for filters. It's the place for pretty things. It's where we show our pretty things. So you're thinking this in your head, your brain offers you this thought like, ugh, she's so pretty all the time. She probably never sweats, and who would follow me when they could follow her? So if my if my client brought this to me and said this, I would break each thought down, right? When we think she's so pretty all the time, we're probably feeling jealous. Okay. So when we think, does she even sweat? You might be feeling bitter. And then who would follow me when they could follow her? It makes us feel inferior. So or something like that. It's different for everybody, but you realize like every thought has a feeling attached to it. So this first one, this is what I do, how I would coach somebody on this thought. So does she even sweat? Yeah. She's so pretty all the time. Okay. First of all, she's not. She's totally not pretty all the time. Like when she gets out of the shower, she's a total mess. You wouldn't even recognize her. Like she's probably ugly sometimes. Okay. She only posts pictures with filters and makeup. That's what Instagram is for. It's what she does. You can think she's pretty without somehow thinking that means that you're less pretty and therefore less likable. Her followers need her and your followers need you. Her people signing up need her, not because she's pretty, but for her gifts that she's sharing. And your people need you because of the way that you show up. That's what they need. But when you're stuck in this silly land of who's prettier than who, you're not getting anywhere, right? Like you're pretty, you're beautiful. She's pretty too, and that's okay. We can just set that aside. You just get to decide that you're beautiful, and it also doesn't really contribute much at all to your success. That doesn't really matter. People don't follow pretty coaches. They don't just want pretty coaches, right? People don't even hire pretty coaches. They follow coaches who they know can help them. They follow people who are like them, right? The more like your people that you are. Yeah. Does anybody follow Juggling the Jenkins? She shows up really ugly on Instagram, right? Like this is not her prettiest. And I've seen a couple of pictures that she's posted where I'm like, oh wow, she looks completely different. But I'm in love with her. I just feel like everybody looks like that sometimes. Like I'm so glad she shows up like that. It just feels like it's so normal to just look a little haggard sometimes, right? I mean, she shows up like that all the time, but I just love her, right? And I love following her. She keeps it real. It's not because she's pretty. I don't follow her because she's pretty. So they follow people who can actually help them. They follow people who can make them feel good. And you might just be at an advantage because you know what it's like not to feel pretty, don't you? Everybody knows that, right? Maybe pretty isn't even serving her. Maybe pretty would not serve you, right? Your brain thinks it's so important for you to be the pretty one. But what if you thinking you're not pretty, which by the way, you're gorgeous, you're completely gorgeous, but at some point you have believed that you're not, right? That there's something wrong with you. But that's perfect because that's your connection to somebody else, because you know that somebody else has felt that way too. And you know how to get out of it. You know how to help that person. You can connect to them better. So that's how we take a small thought like that. And we're like, wait a second. Okay, is that even true? And is it serving me to believe that? And how is the opposite true, right? All right, the second one, does she even sweat? Yes, she does sweat. Does it matter? No. What if she wishes she could sweat more so people could see how hard she worked out? What if she doesn't even feel comfortable in front of the camera until she has showered? Maybe she's showing up when she's pretending that she doesn't sweat, right? Your brain just made up this story about who she is and how much better her life is than yours, right? That's what we do with people on social media. We think their lives are so much better. Your brain is so good at finding evidence for the thoughts that other people have it easier. Because when you believe this is important. Your brain thinks it serves you to think that people have it easier than you, because that would be an easy out for you. When you believe somebody else has it easier, it's easy for you to say, oh, well, if they have it easier, if they just have this advantage naturally, like I'm not even going to try. This is stupid, right? Your brain's like, good, we win. Let's go back to bed, right? It's going to tell you anything it needs to get you to go back to bed. It's so funny how it all leads back to that. So let's see, when you believe that other people have it easier naturally, then your brain has this excuse to quit. So it goes from this thought like she's pretty and she probably doesn't sweat very quickly into like she was born to do this. And so people probably just flock to her and this is so easy for her. But the truth is you have different advantages than she does. And all those thoughts that you just made up about her, you get to make up about yourself. What if you truly believed, I was born to do this? What if you believed this is easy for me? This is what I'm a natural at. This career was made for me. What if you believed I'm making it my own and people are so attracted to exactly what I'm doing because I'm doing it in my own specific, different way? Maybe I sweat a lot and people love that. What if you just decided, like, of course, this comes naturally to me, right? Do you see how that thought, we just get to decide that not only is it not true, but the opposite is true. Doesn't that feel empowering? Doesn't that feel purposeful? Empowering and purposeful, that's what will drive your business. You can't be focusing on empowerful or empowered and purposeful and on like this shame and pity party at the same time. It just doesn't work. Your brain will naturally like slope down, right? Like water just follows the gutter. And so just decide to like make the harder choice and think the harder thought. And eventually it will become a habit, but just decide like, of course I was made for this. Every time your brain wants to say that you weren't, just decide, no, like I'm just making it up. I just decided it's true that this career is perfect for me and I'm a natural at it. And like every single part of it is exactly what I was made for. So let's see. Oh, this last thought. Who would follow me when they could follow her? You guys ever feel like that? There's this rule that Instagram came out with, don't you know, that people are only allowed to follow one Beachbody coach at a time. If they try to follow another one, they just kick the other ones off your follow list, right? No, they can follow as many people as they want to, and they're going to get something different out of each person. So, literally they could follow every Beachbody coach on Instagram if they wanted to. So we think, yeah, but they like her more. Like she's more effective. She's got better stuff on her reels or on her stories, and they like her feed better. So first, when your brain offers you these thoughts, remember you don't actually know what people are thinking, number one. But when you're showing up in jealousy and inferiority, what are you posting? Are you posting kind of like something sobby? What's happening is like your energy is coming off super weak, and it's not really attracting the people that can trust you. People want to feel like they can trust you and they can rely on you. And that's going to happen when you show up as your truest, highest, best self. And the way that you do that is by believing that you are your truest, highest, best self, believing all those thoughts about yourself and not allowing your lower brain to get in the way. So the stuff that you're posting when you feel inferior or jealous, it's crap, right? It's not inspiring. And you think that you're stuck like that because you think it's true that she's just better, but there's no proof of that. So listen, people are looking for you exactly how you are. They don't just want a Beachbody coach. They don't just want to join a workout program. Nobody does that. They want your support. They want to be seen and heard and understood, and they want to talk with you. Okay. They don't want to talk with anybody else. They're there because they want to talk to you. So show up for them and serve them, and whatever they're there for, they're going to get what they came for and even more. Another really helpful feeling is connected. When you're feeling connected on Instagram, that's when you're able to make a really big impact. And connection comes from believing like I'm here for this person. There's a real person on the other side of this comment or on the other side of this post, and I wonder what they need today. Anytime you're looking at your numbers, you're forgetting that Instagram is actually about connection, or Facebook is actually about connection. It's about people connecting with people. It's not about analytics, and it's not about posts. It's not about the number of reels you have or the number of views you have. Like there's real people on the other side. And when you connect to them, when they feel that connection, then you put them in a place where they can actually trust you enough to come to you when they're ready, right? So you just want to be able to be there for them whenever they come. So a few thoughts that help. I know my people. I'm talking to them. They need me exactly as I am in this moment. And the right people always sign up for my group. I just believe that every time that I go into offering something, I just know like the right people are coming and they're going to sign up for this group because this is the perfect time for them to join. And whoever doesn't join, like it was not their time, right? When you believe that, then you're not resisting what's happening, right? You're just accepting it and you're loving it, and it opens you up to receiving more. The people who need me to be here, they're coming. They're coming right now. They're already on their way to me. I am exactly what somebody needs today, right now, in this moment. So your brain is designed to look for threats to your survival. We know that it thinks other people being better than you means something about you, which means that you won't be accepted, and then you won't be wanted, which means you'll lose connection and your place, and you'll starve and you'll die. And your brain's just kind of silly like that. We can uncover it all the time because anytime it's a fearful thought, it's probably not true. So last but not least, I wanted to talk about mean people. When people are rude to you, the more followers you get, the more people will treat you like you're just some influencer on Instagram, or like you're just some random person, and they'll hide behind their keyboard and they'll say all the terrible things that are on their heart, right? So it's what other people say. Let's find some examples. So I know everybody knows who Rachel Hollis is. I know recently she got divorced, right? If you just go to her picture where she announces her divorce, which, oh my gosh, how awful that you have to announce your divorce on social media, right? But to millions of people. But the poor woman is going through divorce and she shares it with the world. And we seem to kind of be attracted to like those trolling comments. Like, you ever go to somebody's profile and you see some like big news and there's like, or something kind of controversial, and you just kind of want to like grab the popcorn and like read all the comments, right? They're sensational. Like, the reason that we do that is because it's kind of exciting to our brains, because it's taking all the attention off of us, and it's making sure like we're not in danger. We're just like watching like a car accident, right? Like, there's just something about it. Like, of course we don't want them to be hurt. We don't want people to be hurt, and we don't want I totally do that. We don't want to be in the car accident either. So we're kind of happy it's happening to somebody else, but we want to know what's going on, right? Like, we're super curious. So we do it because it's easy and it's exciting, and it takes the attention off of us. So people make mean comments online to feel better about themselves, right? That's just your normal brain's job, is to feel better. So they're going through a cycle. If you think about these people who've been mean to you on social media, they're going through this cycle of self-judgment. So for instance, on this divorce post, somebody said, and this is not the only one, "Oh, I wish you would have chose to serve God rather than yourselves." Now, this is this person's action. It goes in their action line, which is something I teach, but actions are fueled by feelings. And this action is actually fueled by shame. Excuse me. Now, shame is one of those yucky emotions that your brain is really, really afraid of. It does not want to feel shame. It thinks that it's really dangerous. So anytime shame just kind of like pokes up its head, it makes you do something to try to bounce that onto somebody else. So anytime, literally anytime somebody is showing up on your feed and making kind of like a snarky remark or being really mean and rude, they're probably feeling shame and judgment of themselves. Nobody who's feeling confident and secure and happy and loved and emotionally stable is going to show up and say something like that to you, because people who are hurting like to hurt other people because it makes them feel better for a second. Having this when your brain is able to tell you, I'm better than this person because I'm not getting a divorce like Rachel Hollis, or I'm not blah blah blah, whatever it is, it feels a little bit good, like that hit of pride, like we kind of go for that. So what's going on in their head, it's totally subconscious. Do not take it personally. And it's from a thought like, oh, if I got divorced, it means that I failed. And that would be bad, because it would mean that I'm selfish or I'm wrong or there's something wrong with me. And then there's this feeling that follows that's instantly this shameful feeling. And shame is such a painful feeling that our brain just diverts away from it. So just know that mean people are there, and they probably just need a lot of love. And it's not necessary to respond back. The only reason we respond back is because in our heads, we have a thought like, oh, I really hope that that's not me. Like, I don't want that to be me. And then we feel defensive. And then our response is coming from defensiveness. But you don't have to feel defensive by just changing one part about it. When you have this thought, like, I was wrong or there's something wrong with me, what if you just decided, like, maybe I was wrong and maybe that's okay, and it means nothing about who I am? What if I totally got this wrong and it still means nothing about my value or how good of a coach I am? What if it's okay to be wrong sometimes? What if somebody pointed out and you're like, oh yeah, totally? Then they don't get the rise out of you, right? They don't get to feel good, but hopefully it will lead them on a path where they love themselves and accept themselves a little bit more. So I already shared that stage concert analogy, which I really love. Before I get to the conclusion, does anybody have any questions or something? I wanted to check the chat and see. Okay. Does anybody have any questions, particularly about thoughts or feelings and what's happening in your brain on social media? I know we only have like a few more minutes, right? I'm loving this chat.
I'm going to unmute myself and just add something to what you're sharing while anyone writes out their question or whatever. But one thing that you have said to me on calls that you kind of alluded to this with social media, that like people are coming for exactly what they came for, you know, and some people are just curious, and some people just want you to respond to their comments, you know, like some people aren't coming to your page to purchase. And one thing that you shared with me about, you know, like me processing if a coach cancels, or if I'm mentoring people and a coach doesn't reach their goals, and like the thought work that then I have to do as a leader. And I was like, that applies directly to leadership. And I'm just looking at, you know, some of the coaches on this call, and I know in particular that there's some of you that can relate to that same feeling of like, am I a good leader? Like, am I able to help people reach their goals? And I think it's so helpful to identify and realize that some people join your team not because they want to make money. Like some people are joining your team not because they want to be diamond. Like some people are joining their team because they want to get on a weekly call like this. Like some people are joining your team because they want to be a part of a community. Some people are joining your team because they want you to check up on them with their health and fitness. Some people are just, you know, like whatever. But if people leave, great. Like they got exactly what they came for, and now they're doing what they need to get the next thing that they need. But you help people get exactly what they need, and you may think it's a certain thing, but that's not always true. It's going to be different for everybody. So that's been really helpful for me and empowering for me as a leader to be like, I help people get what they want. And for some people, they want a scapegoat. Some people maybe want an excuse, whatever, but I help people get what they want as a leader. I help people get what they want, you know, when they come to me as a client. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out, how so much of this applies over to that. But yeah, anyone's welcome to unmute themselves if they have a particular question for Nicole. I wish you guys could all see my notes. Like I feel already, I'm like, I've heard Nicole speak so many times, but I still feel like I need to re-listen to this call because she talks fast and it's so,
sorry.
it's so good. It's so dense with such good content. And I'm serious. Like I have a notepad thing on my computer that I can scroll through, and I'm still going to re-listen to this so that I can add to it, because every time I chat once a week with Nicole, and I tell her my thoughts and she flips them around like this and is like, well, what about this? And you can think of it in a different way. And I just type it all down. And then throughout the week, when I catch myself being like, oh, why would someone follow me when they can follow her, or vice versa, all those different things, then I'm able to think of that new different thought and, you know, try on those different thoughts as she said and think of it in a different way. So writing it down has been really, really helpful for me. But yeah, I don't see any questions.
Okay, that's totally fine. You can always DM me on Instagram, and there's a lot of really good content on there that'll help you reach out to your people and be able to serve them better. So if you do feel like you kind of connected with all this, I know that we all have this struggle on social media, but I promise that as soon as you're able to kind of get through some of the bumps, you're able to serve some people so much better, and you're able to impact their lives and increase your income. So getting over your brain is one of the most important things that you can possibly do. So learning to manage your mind is going to be so effective, not only for you, but it's going to have this huge impact on the people that you're talking to and the people that you're serving and the people that join your group, even if it's just for a short time. Some people are going to join for a really long time though, and some people are going to have a huge impact on other people. And I love thinking about the ripple effect, because what you do when you impact somebody on social media is it ends up impacting people that you don't know about, and those people impact others. And every time that your brain stops you from doing what you know that you're called to do, you're not having that ripple effect on somebody else. You're not putting out something that's going to grow and grow and grow in this big, beautiful way, in a way that we couldn't even do on our own. So I just encourage you to do whatever you have to do to manage your mind. Using a journal is really helpful, and being able to coach yourself. But also getting a coach is really helpful. And so my offer to you is, if you're interested in learning more about what it's like to work with a life coach and how you can have more impact and increase your income at the same time and feel like you're actually doing what you were born to do and not letting your brain get in the way, just reach out to me. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at ThoughtBoss Coaching. or you can talk to Brigida and she'll put you in touch with me. And I just promise that. So what I offer is I offer a free call, and it's just no pressure. We can talk about kind of what I do and see if there's a spot for you in the program, and if it's something that would help you get where you want to go. So it's not right for everybody, but managing your mind is something that probably most Beachbody coaches need to learn how to do, because your guys' impact really matters. Like helping people know that they're beautiful and that they're important, that's going to spread down to their kids and to their grandkids and to all the people that are around them. And when you decide to believe in somebody when they don't believe in themselves, you're doing something for them that they couldn't do for themselves. You're creating something, you're unlocking something that was already inside of them, and you're allowing them to believe that they can have an impact and that they can have the things that they want, even if it's just to have a happy family, even if it's just to have like a little bit more cushion in their budget, like whatever they want, like you can help them get that. And that's why your job as Beachbody coaches is so beautiful, because it's not just about working out. It's not just about moving your body, and it's not just about a shake, right? Like this is about impacting people's lives in a way that gets them what they want, where at the end of their lives, they feel like they had no regrets. So I think it's just such a beautiful and awesome thing. And I just encourage you to do what you have to do to make an impact in your own life so that you can continue to impact others' lives. And I know that your income will grow from that, and it'll just be the cherry on top. So that's what I've got. That's what I've got for tonight. I'm so glad you guys are all here. It's so nice to see all your beautiful faces.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Everyone, her account is ThoughtBoss Coaching on Instagram. I encourage you all to check it out. I know I've shared it in the team page, and make sure you check out the Thought Bubbles, because there's lots of great content in there, just like this call. So thank you all. Thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. So
Everyone
good
have
to
a
be
great
here.
night. Bye, guys.